In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Marianne's guests are leaders in their field, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in their own work. They teach others to develop, refocus, and grow. Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. And remember, make every moment count.
Welcome to Moments with Marianne. We have a very exciting show lined up for you here today. We are going to be speaking here in a moment with retired U.S. Navy Commander, Doctor, Productivity Leader, and CEO, Mary Kelly. So welcome to the show, Mary.
Thanks, Marianne. I'm delighted to be here today.
Thank you. Well, my goodness, you have quite a background and quite a bit of accolades.
Well, thanks. It's very nice of you.
Well, it definitely shows that your dedication, you have a strong dedication to leadership and to really investigating what that's all about.
Well, thanks. I was very fortunate that my time in the Navy, I did about 21 years as a commissioned officer, a little over that. And the great thing about the military is you get leadership experience early, and you get a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and from there, I know you went up the ranks and you retired as a commander.
Yes, I was very fortunate. I had a terrific career. I think I was taught by some of the best people on the planet, both enlisted and officers. I got to work in wonderful commands. I'm not saying every single day was sunshine, roses, and unicorns, because it's not. But you learn the
military,
principles of,
right?
It is. It's the military. And, there's certain days that, you're going, are we still on today? We've been here for 23 hours, and you're tired. But the whole premise behind the military is getting people to work at their best and then a little bit more.
Oh, definitely. And, and I just want to take a brief moment and say thank you for your service. I'm very much in support of our military and everything that our folks do for us. I think it's really a dedication to this country, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, Marianne, that's so sweet of you. And of course, my generation doesn't, we had it much easier in many regards than the generations beforehand. And I really think I appreciate your kindness so much, and the fact that really the American public right now is so behind the military, which I just don't think was the case when people came back from Vietnam. And I don't even think our greatest generation coming back from World War II and Korea really got the admiration that they deserve, because I think what they did was much harder than anything I've ever done, to be honest. And then, my whole family went military. My older brother, his wife, my husband, my younger sister, her husband, my younger brother, everybody went military. So for us, this is what we were brought up to be patriotic. We were brought up to with a high level of discipline. Mm-hmm. And being in the military, my older brother, when he went, I said, "Oh, that's crazy." And he said, "Well, it's easier than living at home." So really, it wasn't that much of an adjustment for us. But we were just brought up this way, and so we continually are amazed and surprised when people would ever say thank you or anything like that, because it's just what we do. So I very humbly and gratefully say thank you back.
Well, thank you. And so I can easily see why your book, Why Leaders Fail, is such a success. I mean, it really gets down to leadership principles and key traits and different tactics and what works and what doesn't work. I mean, it's kind of like the go-to book for if someone wants to be a successful leader and bring their gang up.
Thank you. And we realize that the title sounds negative, Why Leaders Fail, but there's about 2.3 million billion gazillion books out there on how to be a successful leader. But as we were talking, Peter and I were sitting at a conference one day, and he looked over at me and he said, leadership's hard. I said, if you do it right, it's really hard. It's completely all-consuming. It is in your brain 24/7. It never goes away. You're always wondering, could I have done that better? What else can I do? Yeah, it is an all-encompassing thing if you do it right. And he said, there's a lot of good people who are put into leadership positions and they just fail. I said, they do. And he said, do you ever wonder exactly why they fail? And that's where this book came from. So we went and he had collected data through his assessments for about 100,000 employees. And so over a 10-year period, we had this great data set. And we looked through that to find out what people wanted in their boss, what they weren't getting in their boss. And then we did 10,000 surveys of senior leaders and managers to find out where the disconnect was. And that's what you're seeing in this book is the disconnect. Where a lot of times leaders think they're doing the right thing for their people, and their people think they're just 180 degrees opposite. And then there's little things like in chapter 2 on the trust issues where leaders think they're doing the right thing, and it's getting misinterpreted completely by the people who are following them.
And that's so important, and you're right. A lot of times people do get thrust into a leadership position and they have no clue what they're doing. Maybe they may have some education in regards to leadership but no life experience or vice versa.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And there's great leadership books out there. One of them is what got you here won't get you there. So for example, let's take an engineer who's a great engineer, and all of a sudden they're promoted to be in charge of other engineers. Well, wait a second. Leading people is a completely different skill set than electrical engineering or nuclear engineering. So you've got to take the skill set and say, what are we focusing on here, and who are we promoting? And this is part of the problem, that, yes, we would like to have people in leadership roles who also understand what their people are doing on a day-to-day basis. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that transition is going to be smooth. And so what we're trying to do with this book is, let's say you're in a leadership position and there's just issues that you're kind of struggling with, but you're not sure if you need a coach or if you can even afford an executive coach, and you can't tell your friends about, hey, work is just not going well because, they're your friends. So this book is written for those people. It's written for those people who are trying to get better as a leader and also try to just do better for their people.
Mm. Now, in your book, and you had mentioned this a little bit before you touched on it, and I want to kind of circle the wagons back around to it. You talked about trust, and how important is it to have trust in a leadership position?
Well, and that's one of the things we found was the number one glaring issue when it comes time to getting the best results out of your people was people don't trust their leader, or they don't trust the organization as a whole. And that's very different. You can very much like your direct supervisor or your direct boss, or even his boss or her boss. But if you don't trust that the organization is going to do what they say they're going to do, then you've still got a productivity problem because you're not going to give it 100%. So this idea of trust, and one of the glaring situations we had was there's a guy he was a plumber, and he worked for a plumbing company. And he was the guy that they always called for their emergency calls, and he always responded. He was just terrific. And then his boss said, we really need to give you a bonus for this. You're doing all this overtime, and, you haven't had a day off and whatever. And they were shorthanded. They really needed this guy. And he was terrific. Highest customer marks all the time. Just, your superstar. And so his boss promised to give him like a $200 bonus. So it wasn't even a lot of money. And then the boss had to come back to him and say, hey, I promised you that $200 bonus. Apparently, we're not really allowed to do that. And so the guy wasn't even expecting the bonus, but the fact that his boss told him that there would be a bonus and then had to go back and tell him he wasn't, he felt like his boss had lied to him, and he felt like the organization didn't value him. And so he went to a competitor. And it was such a little thing where the boss, and so from the boss's perspective, the boss is like, hey, I really got to find a way to reward my guy. So he tried. His mistake was he told the person in advance, hey, I'm going to get you this, which he did not have the authority to do. But then it goes back to the organization. Well, why wouldn't you give one of the people managing your branches the authority to make a $200 decision? So, there's just all kinds of things. And if you're the organization, you're saying, well, it's not our policy. The manager should have known our company policy. And if you're the manager, you say, well, you kind of shouldn't have talked to the guy before you knew you could make this decision. But the reality was that organization lost a great and dedicated worker, and he left bitter, over $200. And in his brain, he said it wasn't the money, it was the fact that he felt he knew they were working him a lot because he was good, and he didn't mind that. He was all about it until they turned around and said, you're not even worth $200. And then he felt completely betrayed. So that idea, and it happens more often than people think, it's the little stuff that sometimes well-meaning managers and leaders are doing that is causing a complete breakdown of trust in the organization.
I think the only way that the manager could have gotten around that would be to have paid that $200 himself.
Out of pocket. Yes.
Yep.
I mean, once you realize you had a mistake as a leader, and that's part of it, is you fix it. And for us, you fix it the right way, and it's got to be right. There's a Hawaiian word for this called pono, and it's everything that is good and right. And it means that, when you make a mistake, you make it right.
Well, and then that kind of goes into the next question I have to you about, the importance of accountability. A lot of times people think, and just kind of as in this example, really the person who truly is accountable is the manager who offered that money. He's the one that, the buck stops with him in some respects, because he's the one that made that promise.
That's right. That's exactly right. And you don't make promises you can't deliver on. And, sometimes managers, we want to be popular. And this is a whole chapter in the book is where, clearly that manager wanted to stay on good terms with his employee. And he was trying to be kind of popular. He was kind of being like, don't worry, I'll take care of you. And he didn't have the authority to do it. And this desire to be liked, we all have this desire. I want to be liked. People say, I want honest feedback. I'm like, no, you don't. You want to be told how awesome you are. We all feel that way. Nobody wants criticism. Nobody wants, feedback that's negative. But this idea of being leaders who would rather be liked than be respected, that's a big problem because it means they're going to make decisions based on their personal perspective and their ego, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, because then you have them making decisions based on what will gain them greater popularity.
That's right. And we see this in politics.
Mm-hmm.
We see this in politics where people are catering to special interest groups or they change their speech depending upon the audience that's listening to them. And as a leader of an organization, you have to have a vision and stick to that vision and communicate that vision, even when it's not the most popular vision.
That's a real important message. I'm so glad that you're sharing that with our listeners. Now, I know that there are some things that you have outlined in your book. We're not going to go through all of them because I really feel everyone needs to pick up a copy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But just to give our listeners kind of a few of these characteristics of what makes a coachable leader. What's somebody, if I'm hiring, I've got a choice between leader A and leader B, and, what are some of the coachable traits that I'm looking for?
Oh, such a good question. Thank you so much. A coachable leader are you coachable? Are you able to coach other people? And are you able to get coaching yourself? And so this idea of coaching, about 20 years ago, when we started talking about life coaching, executive coaching, a lot of it was kind of rah-rah, foo-foo, not as helpful as it is now. And nowadays, a great coach is going to help whoever's being coached be more accountable. They're going to help them work through difficult situations, kind of navigate through things because we can't see our own forest for the trees. And the way I look at it is, if I want to get better as an athlete, I hire a coach. If I want to go to the Olympics, I hire a great coach, the best coach I can find to help me be the best I can. So why wouldn't we in business do the same thing? And the reason behind people not hiring great coaches is because, frankly, there's so many coaches out there who are bad. And they give them bad advice, and then it costs the company money, and then they feel like they got burned a little bit, and they don't go back for more coaching. So this idea of coaching and having people keep you accountable and keep you focused and keep you on track, but also help you think big and move toward the big idea, that's all about what coaching is. So this idea of coachable is, are you able to coach your team to their best results? Are you able to provide them what each individual needs? That's part of it. And then the other part is, are you able to be coached? Are you able to take criticism? And I've got one guy who's in a C-level position, and our conversations are very short and very choppy, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And he'll call up and say, hey, screwed up on this, that, what do I do? I'm like, boom, 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 this is what you got to do. And he goes, yep, okay, got it, click, when we're done. And so sometimes, and it's very funny, and sometimes he just wants validation about, okay, did I screw up? Yes. Am I doing the right thing to fix it? Yes. Okay. Or, all right, I've got this, what do I need to do? And he's all, all business, all just, there's no, hey, how are you, anything. But for him, and I think to his credit, he knows he's not a warm, fuzzy, cuddly kind of guy in the workplace. And so he either hires people to create a buffer between him and people who that would be off-putting to them, or he truly wants to do the right thing, but he's just not a, super cuddly personality. So he calls to say, hey, am I doing the right thing? Is this okay? And that's good. For other people, they say, look, I've got this conflict and I don't know what to do. I've tried this. And then it's, okay, have you tried this? What about this? What about this? Use these words. Try this method. And other people say, our company's being bought out. Here's this. This is now a landmine of, politics and backstabbing, this, that, whatever. What do I do next? So there's all kinds of things, and it's about whether or not you are willing to have other people give you perspective and thought. So it's not people telling you what to do and how to run your life, but it can be so helpful to get somebody else's perspective. And it's all about helping people just get better, like an Olympic athlete.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. And a lot of it is perspective, because a lot of times, if someone's up against a challenge, they're having a difficulty seeing beyond what it is that, they normally would be able to perceive. So having somebody else come in and say, hey, okay, well, have you considered this? And it really does open up for greater expansion. So I know you do team coaching as well. How would that look like if you're meeting, let's say you're meeting a team and they're a little bit dysfunctional? You've got
I love those. I love those so much. Because it's really where I feel, sorry.
It's okay. I've got a dog too. Maxwell barks all the time.
I'm downstairs trying to be quiet for you, but dogs understand pack things. So dogs are pack animals, and teams sometimes react like pack animals. So when I can get the whole team together and to figure out what the dynamics are, I can oftentimes see where the problems are, where they can't necessarily identify it. And then with teams, especially ones that are dysfunctional and want to get better, then we get everybody on the same page. We say, we start with a vision. And that sounds crazy because you think, well, we make garlic presses or whatever we make. Why? Of course we know what we do. Well, what we do is the mission. Where we want to go is the vision. And if you can get everybody together and excited about that vision, then you can start to move forward. And then the things that people normally would quibble about, we can say, you know what, that's not something that's right now a huge priority. So let's move into the things that are the big priority, and then we're going to deal with the personal stuff later. Or sometimes it's the personal stuff gets in the way of real productivity, and that's usually more the case. So then sometimes it's a case of just sitting down with two people on the team who have had issues in the past and resolving those issues. And, right now there's people who are afraid to say stuff in the workplace, so resentment builds up. And all of a sudden, it becomes an unworkable situation. I have to say I love those situations because it's all about getting people who are very different, who come at things with a very different perspective, to work together toward a common goal. And that's what the military is good at.
Oh, they're awesome at that. It's all about teamwork, and that what a great place to start as far as learning leadership and leadership skills, and then growing upon that.
Plus, you don't get to pick your people in the military. And see, that's what people don't, you don't get to pick. So all of a sudden you walk into a team where half the people, maybe they didn't want to be there either. They call them orders for a reason. They got sent there. So maybe they don't particularly want to be there. It wasn't what they were promised or whatever. They didn't choose you as a boss. This wasn't their working, preference. And you certainly didn't choose them, but you got to make it work.
Well, and it really, if you can work in situations like that and make teams work in those situations, you can make them work anywhere. And
you would hope. You would hope, absolutely.
Well, have you ever come across teams where maybe there's such a toxic situation, there's no resolution? Like, what do you do then,
Oh, yes. So I call it the fix it or fire it. And it sounds harsh, except when people are miserable at work, one of the kindest things you can do is help them find another job. And I do mean help them find another job, not just, you're done, get out. But help them find a place where they're going to be able to thrive. Some of the best people are simply in the wrong jobs. So part of our job as a leader is to care about that person's personal as well as professional development. And if they're not in the right job working for you, then helping them find a good job is incumbent upon that leader. Now, If they're just a bad worker, they're lazy, they have a bad attitude, they don't want to be there, they hate everybody, then that's just a situation where you've got to get rid of that person. And that's difficult when maybe that person is the one who started the company, or that's the CEO. And so that becomes very difficult. And
yeah, that's a challenge.
and we do have techniques for doing that. So the idea is to create a win-win for everyone involved. And when you're in that situation, you can't go to the guy who started the company and say, you know what, you're the reason there's all these problems, because you wouldn't be working there very much longer. But coming in from the outside, you can oftentimes present things in a way that that person realizes that their best place is not there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's why I love what I get to do, because I get to say things that sometimes the people sitting there going, I can't say that. I really wish I could say that. I get to say it.
Well, and you have this great background too. It's like I don't think many people would have much to say about that, you know. Be like, oh, you know, she's a naval commander. I mean, I better watch my P's and Q's. You know?
Well, we're pretty approachable, but it is, like I say, you know, when you get to run a base that has everything from, you know, civilian contractors and military people, and you've got housing, and you've got, you know, child care centers all on base, and schools, and people, and politics, and there's a lot of moving parts. And maybe you're doing that in a different country, and maybe you're doing it in a different language. So and then you've got budgets to worry about. People think, oh, the money just got this. The military sometimes has this issue, or I think people have an idea that the military doesn't pay close attention to the budget and the finances, and we absolutely do. So managing big budgets, big amounts of people, big buildings, things like that, it's basically running a corporation. You still have to be accountable. You still have to get things done, and you still have to produce a readiness level that gets scrutinized far beyond what most civilian businesses get scrutinized about. So being in the jobs that I had prepared me really well, and I'm very grateful to those jobs for what I do now. I'm very lucky.
Oh, it really, I could see that it really puts you in the perfect position to be coaching executives, corporations, and just kind of getting in there and straightening things out, you know.
Oh, I just love it. And when I get to go to talk to groups of people at conferences, the conferences bring me in because I get to talk about leadership, but then I also get to talk about their situations, and that's what I love. So when I go to a conference, you know, I do a keynote or a breakout session or both or whatever, and then I stay, and I love to talk to people about their situations, because they say, you know, I've been struggling with this, and I go, oh, have you tried this? And they go, oh, no, oh, that's a good idea. And I have to tell you, but because it's easy when you're the outsider. If you're me and you're the outsider, it's sometimes easier to see things and distill things down because you're not in the trees. You know, you just get to get that snapshot and provide ideas. And then I get to get these wonderful connections with audience members, and then we stay friends, and it's so wonderful. And I love it. It's travel, it's new people, it's new challenges. It's kind of like the military that way. So I feel very fortunate about what I get to do.
Now, so when you're doing keynote speaking and after you're done, or the breakout sessions, and you're talking, are you just talking with anyone that comes up with you, or is it just they'll have you talk to like the management team? Usually, how does that work?
Oh, a couple of ways. So frequently when I go in, I will do a VIP dinner the night before, or maybe that morning. So the leadership team gets together, and then they also can give me some guidance on what they think their people really need. That happens a lot. Usually before I go in, I know all that. I've done my interviews ahead of time. I've made the phone calls, and the leadership team has given me kind of my marching orders. So I know what points to emphasize, and I might know that there might be specific conflicts. But after events, that's just a free-for-all. And sometimes people say, oh, will you be here in an hour? Can I meet you, can I meet you for a quick coffee over there? Or, do you have 10 minutes? And that's why I like to go to conferences and just stay, because I get that. And it's providing value, and I really think that that's our job, is to provide great value to our clients and to their people. And we're really here to serve.
Oh, I agree with you completely and wholeheartedly on that. I think it's all about lifting people up as best as we can and being of service. So what final thought would you like to leave our listeners with today?
Final thought. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of them, I know, because this book is just a treasure trove.
Oh, you're so nice. So be accountable to yourself so that you can be accountable to other people. And that means doing what you say you're going to do, following up on the things you need to follow up with. And if you need a system, on my website there's free forms. I live by forms because I need forms and templates to keep me on track. So I have what's called the productivity form, and I do one of those every single day. And it's the people I need to talk to, people I need to follow up with, the phone calls I need to make, my to-dos, my appointments, everything. And people who say, oh, I just can't get as organized as I'd like, I'm like, please try the productivity sheet just one a day for 30 days, Saturdays, Sundays, every day, and see if your life doesn't get better. Because I create things that I think will make my life better, and then I put them on my website, honestly, Marianne, so I could find them, and so that they'd always be there. If I was in a different city, I could always download anything I needed. And so they're all on my website under free stuff, and it makes people's lives better, and that's what we're here for.
And your website's productiveleaders.com.
Yes, because, we want productive leaders, not the unproductive kind.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Oh, well, Mary, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us today.
Oh, Marianne, I'm so excited that we got this opportunity to talk about the new book, Why Leaders Fail, and the 7 prescriptions for success. There's really 49, but we kept it to 7. And I just love to give a shout out to my co-author, Peter Stark, who has been a delight to work with this whole time. And as you know, partnerships don't always work great all the time, and we had a great time doing this project. So I'm very fortunate.
I agree with you 100%. It's so important to have those great working relationships with the people that we have projects with. So thank you again for being on the show with us again today. For listeners, you can check out Dr. Mary's website at productiveleaders.com. We're going to pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
Have you ever had the sense that your thoughts might actually be doing something? Ancient secrets of manifesting have been masterfully revealed in the award-winning book Manifesting 1-2-3 by Ken Elliott. For the first time, the author's experiences and stories in this book describe exactly how your thoughts can create anything. You've been doing this all your life, but it's never been fully explained for you until now. Visit manifesting123.com for more information today. Manifesting123.com.
Are you an author looking for publicity for your book? If you're self-published or have worked through a traditional publisher, Marianne Pestana can help you get the media attention you require. Contact Marianne Pestana, literary publicist and host of Moments with Marianne, to create a winning plan of action. Marianne has helped authors become bestsellers and has received highly acclaimed media attention for her clients. Some of her work has received attention from ABC, NBC, CNN, CBS, Fox, and PBS, in addition to print and radio. She's a specialist in utilizing social media and her list of exclusive contacts to further the reach of your work. Contact MariannePestana.com to discuss the future of your work today. Ben Wexler is a gifted leadership development and strategy consultant for professionals who want to transform their organizations and careers. Through a uniquely personalized set of processes, participants discover their unique knowledge, how to leverage that knowledge and experience, and then put it all together with a global strategy. You're more valuable, your organization is more valuable, and the change is viral. Contact Ben at 630-881-1074, 630-881-1074.
Are you a successful entrepreneur or sales professional, but you're ready to take your success to the next level? I'm Bob Berg, and I invite you to join me at our next Go Giver Sales Academy. You'll learn how to communicate your exceptional value to more people, sell at full price, become objection-proof, and embrace the abundance that's your birthright. limited to just 12 people, so it's personalized, impactful, and transformational. Visit GoGiverSalesAcademy.com and see what others are saying.
Discover the book publisher's weekly calls compelling. Piper, Once and Again, is the breathtaking debut novel by psychic medium Caroline E. Zani. Death has no power over love. Piper, Once and Again, is a story of hope for the hopeless and faith amidst tragedy. Follow Piper on a journey of loss and redemption as she tries to find the one man who can help her figure out why she must be. Piper, Once and Again. www.carolinezani.com.
Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. Gosh, that was such a great time that we just spent with Commander Dr. Mary Kelly. She's right on target with why leaders fail and, of course, why they don't. So today we're talking about showing up as a leader in your own life, and also how positive self-talk can change your game. So I know starting out in business, sometimes it can feel like it's a little difficult for us to be able to show up as a leader when we're kind of still treading water and trying to figure things out for ourselves. A lot of times, self-education, reading books, and of course, listening to great shows like this, but reading books like Mary Kelly's book and other books from Bob Burg, any kind of book you can find on leadership, sales, and personal development really ups your game. And what's interesting, a lot of times I'll head over to Barnes & Noble's, and I love going in there and just picking up books and seeing what resonates with me. And I might know most of the principles that these books will already carry, but there could be that one nugget that basically is what changes my game. So a few shows back, in fact, I think it was last month. Gosh, it's been kind of a busy month here with all the great people we've been talking to. We had Greg Reed, who wrote 3 Feet from Gold. And it's basically the story that falls on this person who really gave up right before the miracle happened. And a lot of times when we show up as a leader in our own life, it's because we have persevered through all of those obstacles and challenges, and we're driven by that passion of what it is that we love to do, regardless what else is going on around us. And that kind of brings me back to Bob Burg. I mean, he's such a great example as far as, leadership in motion. He's got these great principles. You follow them, you do them, and life gets easier as a leader. And of course, his train of thought and belief system really is very close to my heart in regards to how we move forward as a leader. We don't want to be a tyrant. Those are definitely leaders that people end up not really liking so much. And granted, leadership isn't a popularity contest. But it really is about being able to show up and be a servant for those that you're leading. And it's not even really leading, in my opinion. I really believe that being able to give people the tools to go ahead and the education to move forward, they will actually lift you up as they go up. And a true leader will push people to greater levels of prosperity and success. And we've had lots of great people on this show. You can visit the archive if you've missed any of the shows and listen to the archive at Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. It'll also include the archive from WMEX 1510 AM Boston. So great place to stop by and listen for more information on these fabulous people that we've had the honor and pleasure of talking with here. And there's a lot more great stuff to come. So in showing up as a leader in our own life, I know I've talked about this once before, but it's something that does bear repeating. A lot of times when we are looking for advice outside of ourselves, and end up taking a poll amongst many people, it ends up where we really give over our power. And real, true leaders always stay within their power. It's not to say that they don't get advice from key people. So they'll have a mentor that they work with. I've worked with business and spiritual mentors for, the last 14 years now. My goodness, it's been a while. So the last 14 years that I've been in business. And so what that does is it allows me to have a fresh perspective on what is going on around me. One of the things I've noticed during the course of being self-employed, and what happens most often, and when I've worked with other people, one thing I've noticed is that there really is opportunity for problems to arise when we take things personally and we have misperceptions. If you have not read, excuse me, if you have not read the Four Agreements, you definitely want to pick that up. Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. has written a couple of books actually recently that are really kind of for our generation in regards to how the Four Agreements work with us here and now. So the principles in the Four Agreements are really quite profound because they really get us back to core of what we need to pay attention to and what we really need to throw over our shoulder and keep walking away from. So one is not to take things personally. And in business, that especially in sales, I was in sales for many years. That is a key component that we want to pay attention to, is really not taking things personally because people have their own thing going on. We don't know what's happening with other people. And, it really is one of the core truths that will help you in your business and in your leadership. In developing better leadership skills, it really is a journey. Once you start on that path and you start to gain information, it really is so beneficial to continue your education. And a lot of times that can be done with a personal mentor, reading books, or listening, again, to great programs like this. Leadership skills, in my opinion, is not something that you go to college and get a degree on and then you're done. It is a continuous life walk. So, and one of the things to think about in developing your leadership skills is, what type of leader am I going to be? Am I going to be someone that really lifts the people around me up? Am I going to be a tyrant? What kind of legacy are you looking to leave? Because that's really what it's all about in many ways, is the legacy we leave behind and what people think about us, feel about us, and then how we've actually either been able to help or hurt people in their own careers. So one of the things that I've really prided myself with over the years is being able to help people as much as I can through every walk of life. So, and as I said in the first part of the hour, I was thrown into leadership initially and had to figure things out as I went along. So I learned a lot of things that you do and you don't do, made a lot of mistakes, did a lot of things right, and kind of took inventory and went from there. So it really is about uplifting people, seeing how far we can move them up the ladder themselves, and doing the best that we can to be of service, not just for the people that we work with, but for the people that we serve as well. So if you're in sales, if you're doing any kind of contract work, whatever your business is, you can be a leader in your own life by just showing up and raising people up. So the next part of this discussion, and I'm kind of excited to be talking about this because it's something that happens a lot, and it's how can positive self-talk change our game? Ooh, so this is a big one. So a lot of times people, and I've done it myself. I'm so guilty of doing this, and it really is something that took a lot of practice to switch things around. And, I still have bad hair days, so those things happen. But to really get to a point where my self-talk is in a positive state. And what do I mean by self-talk? And that's really the chatter that's going on in our heads. A lot of times it's so easy to have what we would call like monkey mind, where things are just kind of getting carried away with, gosh, our talk is basically like, gosh, I shouldn't have done this. I could have done that better. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? Oh, gosh, I don't like my outfit. And on and on and on and on. And a lot of it happens to be stuff that we've really been conditioned with. So it takes a little time to reprogram yourself to have new thought processes. And you do it little by little. And initially it feels like that's all you're doing. So the best way to curb negative thought is noticing it when it comes up. When I first started on this path, one of the things, when I was teaching people on how to change this thought process, because it's a doozy and it really can be problematic, is, we wouldn't take all of our garbage, wrap it up, and then dump it all over our neighbor's lawn. So why would we do that to ourselves? That negative thought is really trash that we don't really need in our minds. And it's not to say everything's all sparkles and kittens and rosy all the time, but it's to not focus on the negative and really focus on what is going on that is positive with ourselves, and really to give ourselves some slack. Most of the time we can be our own worst critic. We don't need anyone else telling us, gosh, that outfit really doesn't look good on you, or, I can't believe you said that, or that was really stupid of you to do that action, or whatever it is that you did, or that was really mean of you. So when we get into these situations, it's a lot of times we've got this chatter going on in our head, thinking that everyone else is noticing these actions or reactions or what's going on with us, when they're really very concerned about driving their own boat. They're focused on their own life and what's going on with them. So as negative thought comes up, just realize it's negative, dismiss it, and move on. And you want to replace it with a positive thought. So if your thing is, I feel fat and ugly, or I don't have enough money, or gosh, I can't believe that I did that. Really look at yourself from a centered heart place and say, gosh, I'm doing better than I was yesterday. Things are getting easier for me. I'm so excited to be doing the work that I'm doing. Even on days where everything's going wrong, you just stop and refocus and get yourself back on path. When we do this, it really gives us the opportunity to shift where it is that we're at, to change that energy and start over. And as we program our mind to look for the positive, more positive is going to come into our lives. It's a simple law of attraction. If you're kind of new to the law of attraction, I highly recommend Ken Elliott's book, Manifesting 123. It is very simple and effective in being able to manifest positivity in your life. It goes through being able to develop a movie and see yourself in the future having these great experiences and do these great things. And I mean movie in your head, not, you don't have to, get proficient with YouTube or anything like that. But you're visualizing how things are going to look in your future, already done, problems already solved, abundance already there, health already there. And it's a great book to help kind of jumpstart you on your path to positive thinking. So you definitely want to take a moment, think about what's going on, in your mind. Just listen to the thoughts that come in. Another practice I do is to, if you have a lot of negative thoughts going on, just visualize a cloud, put the negative thought in the cloud, let it drift off, and get back to your positive thinking. And do that without a negative or positive emotion about what's going on. Just kind of very neutral about the whole thing, so you're not charging the emotion. And a lot of times when I meet people, they don't realize how well they're doing. Most of the time when I'm coaching people, they are focused on everything that's going bad around them without looking at all of the miracles and magic that's happening in their life. And a lot of times that can be a lot. And most of the times it's a shift in perspective. So that's one of the things that the Four Agreements talks about as well, is our shifts in perspective. And I'm paraphrasing it. It's discussed a little bit differently in the book. It's a great book, but another great resource in being able to have positivity in your life and really think on more of a positive mindset. So how can positive self-talk change my game? Well, one of the things is when we really monitor our negative thoughts and replace them with positive ones, reaffirming ones about us, our self-confidence gets boosted. So we've got this boosted self-confidence. We feel better about life and about ourselves and the environment we're in. We've got more gratitude for everything that's going on around us. And we also are more appreciative of the people, places, and things in our lives. So when it's changing our game, and this kind of wraps back into the leadership part, it's really hard to be the leader of your own life if you're putting yourself down all the time. There's just no way. And a lot of times, again, like I was saying earlier, we can be our own worst critic. So in changing our viewpoint of ourselves and perception of ourselves and giving ourselves a break, we really do allow ourselves the freedom to explore our own abilities to be our own leaders. One of the things I talk about often when I'm doing coaching sessions is, we discuss about how you deserve to be loved, appreciated, shown respect, gratitude, and adored. And that includes from yourself. And a lot of times when I talk about that with people, that's kind of the rub, that's the burn. It's like, well, we can expect that from other people to give to us. But how about me giving myself love, appreciation, and respect? If you are parked in the negative parking zone, giving yourself love, appreciation, and respect is going to seem like a real impossible thing to do. And that means in every way how you view yourself, giving yourself breaks, and really being able to say, hey, I have value. I am the leader of my life. I'm, kind of like that saying, you're the captain of your ship, so you're the captain of your ship. And just like within sales or leadership or anything like that, we can't expect people to give us love, respect, honor, any of that, unless we can do that for ourselves first. You are the lead horse, and none of the other horses can go faster than the lead horse. You set the pace for how life is going to view you and also respond and react to you. So having that in mind, it really kind of gives us a different viewpoint about how important our self-talk is. A lot of times when I was in sales, I would sit down, and I never really considered it sales. I loved the job that I did. I would sit with people. I would learn about their businesses. I would help them in a consultant. I was doing consulting. I would help them with that. And then, we would find whatever it was that they needed help with, and there we go. And when I first started off, I was really harsh on myself. I would sit and analyze every meeting that I had personally and go over where I could have gone, done things a little bit better. And while reflection is good, you're going back and reflecting on how I could have changed my game a little bit and been better, the negative talk, it was so detrimental. So, I'd leave the meeting and I'd be like, gosh, I could have done that better, or said this better, or said that better. And what I've learned is, as I become more self-confident and monitor my negative self-talk, it has made me a better leader in all areas in my life. Because I have become more self-confident, I'm able to show up in the world and feel very secure in what it is that I bring to the table. So it's very interesting how both being a leader in your life and showing up a leader, and how positive self-talk can really change your experience from one of happiness and joy and prosperity, or it could be every day is like, gosh, I hate what I'm doing. And life is way too short to hate what you're doing, or even hate yourself. And you are worth much more than anything. So you deserve happiness. You really do. One of the things is, when, as a leader, if we have negative self-talk, it also will show in how we treat others and how they are perceiving us. A lot of times, if we're walking around kind of with a scowl, it could be just unhappy at the way that we did something. Maybe a meeting didn't go quite as well. The employees and coworkers and the people that we share our space with, our work with, are really going to notice what's going on. It's going to show in every area. So we talked about a few ways of being able to remove negative self-talk and replace it with something positive. So let's go back to that for just a minute. What are some of the positive things that you can say? I think one of the hardest ones, and I was discussing this with somebody the other day, is I love myself. Like, look in the mirror and really tell yourself, I love myself. In today's age, and it's kind of been this way for a little while, there's so much pressure on us looking perfect, or being perfect, or having the perfect house. And so when we have this misperception that we're not quite living to these erroneous standards, things start to kind of not feel like we're, standing on solid ground. And that part is all an illusion. What's really important is the person that you are and how you show your light in the world. So start with, I love myself and I love my life. My mentor, Judy Goodman, taught me early on in the game, with learning how to be a better leader, a better mentor, just better person altogether, is to have 7 things that you're grateful for every morning. Typically, I've gone through that before my feet hit the floor in the morning. And it could be something simple as, I'm so grateful for a roof over my head, or this warm bed, or I'm so grateful for all the people that I get to interact with and help. It could be just about anything. Most of the times when I have finished walking my dog Maxwell, I have my list done. I'm so grateful for him, for the friends I have in my life, for all the abundance that's coming my way, because that stuff is already on the train. It's on its way to you. And I really work on my positive self-talk. And, I've got to tell you, I got to work on it too. I mean, I've been working on this for some time. It's not as bad as when I first started. When I first started, I didn't even have an appreciation for myself. And I think a lot of people feel that way. One of the questions that was asked to me early on in my personal and spiritual growth is, do you feel that the universe is out to help you or out to get you? And if you feel the universe is out to get you, then you know that you probably have some work to do on positive self-talk. If you feel like the universe is, or God, or whatever you would like to name that, is really here to help and support you, then you're on a good path. And while this might sound like, gosh, this is a bunch of wishful thinking and fairy dust and what have you, it really is not. For some time, I had studied and read just about every book I can get my hands on in regards to sales and business and leadership, because that's the world I lived in for many years, and how to have a more happy experience. And I read how some of the top leaders had really constructed their companies in such a way that really had the atmosphere and the culture for happiness. And one of the things that I found out is that most of these companies didn't pay a whole heck of a lot, but they were really focused on the things that mattered the most to people. And showing up as a true leader, one of the things that people really wanted, and these different leadership books I was reading would acknowledge, is that people wanted to be appreciated or acknowledged, or there was something that they really want. And once you figure out what people want, it makes it really easy to be able to give that to them to help them fulfill what it is that makes them happy. So if someone is, that works with you or for you, it's important that they get noticed and say, gosh, you really did a good job. It's important to do that for morale anyway. Or if someone, they like to have accolades, it's important for them to have things to hang on the wall. As a leader, finding out what motivates your people is one of the prime things to learn as you go, because everyone's motivated by something different. Another example of a leader that's using positive self-talk to not only move herself and elevate herself, but her entire team is author Amy Van Addis Slater. She's a senior VP of sales operations for a Fortune 500 company, and the people that she works with and leads, they know that it's so important to have a positive mindset. And from her experiences, and you'll have to pick up her book, Moments, Magic, Miracles, and Martinis, it really outlines the importance of moving forward with positive self-talk and how that has shifted every area of her life. So I challenge you to look at your self-talk, see how it's affecting not only yourself, but the people you're around, and to make positive changes to shift that for yourself today. Gosh, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank all of you for tuning in and spending this time with me. I so greatly appreciate it. Make sure to go ahead and hop over to my website and join my newsletter, mariannepastana.com. I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in today. And remember, make every moment count.
Join us next time for Moments with Marianne, when host Marianne Pestana brings another inspirational gifted leader to help us grow. Tune in every second Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Moments with Marianne, when the Dream Vision 7 radio network is at 1510 a.m. Boston. Or catch Moments with Marianne every Thursday and Friday at 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. Eastern Time by going to dreamvision7radio.com. To learn how Marianne started her business from the ground up, visit mariannepestana.com. Don't miss this, and remember, make every moment count.